What's up, guys? It's Casey Zugelman, aka the Fourth Sanderson sister, coming at you with another Hocus Pocus character study video. In today's video, I'll be deep diving into why I personally relate to Mary Sanderson, and of course, a little bit on why I think the fans might relate to her. The last video I made about relating to Winifred, which you can watch by clicking on this thing right here, did really well to my surprise. So now I'm going to talk about my relationship to Mary, so please enjoy. Mary Sanderson and I are the same person. I do not relate to any fictional character more than I relate to Mary Sanderson. As a kid, I did not appreciate her majesty like I should have. And that right there is the first thing about her I totally understand. Being forgotten. Mary is not flashy or loud like Winifred, nor is she as much of an oddball as Sarah. She's just kind of there. At least in the first movie. The second really gave her more screen time and things to do. But anytime I wear the costume or somebody tries to answer a question where the answer is Mary, they always go, "Oh, darn it, what was her name?" While flawlessly remembering Winifred and Sarah. She's left out of people's favorite lists a lot. And honestly, it sucks, but it can't be helped because, well, she's just kinda there. And aren't we all just kinda there? Most of the time in life, you're just kind of doing the things that you do every day. You're just kind of there. You're not really standing out, because I know I feel that. I get this feeling of being left out and forgotten, as in my life, I'm also just kind of there. I feel like a lot of people's second choice when, their original plans fall through. I've got my moments that people remember me for, like Mary with the vacuum.
Winnie?
But most of the time I just fly under the radar until someone barks an order at me. I also totally relate to what it's like to be outshined by a sibling. My little brother is my best friend, like Winifred is to Mary, just without the abuse. We don't do that to each other. No. But I can't deny that he's shown me up in almost every facet of life. But, like Mary with Winnie, that doesn't stop me from cheering him on and supporting him with everything I've got. I will be there anytime and every time he needs me for anything. If he's sad or going through something tough, I'm right there to try cheering him up, or be a sounding board where he can let his thoughts out instead of keeping them bottled up. And heaven help the person who upset my brother in the first place, because he's got a big sister who does not like to hear those things. Mary supports Winifred in every way she can, and she's happy to do it, whether it's following an order or trying to make her feel better when she's down. Mary has always been the support team in the Sanderson household and has been Winnie's biggest supporter since they were children. She has this innate nature to care for those she loves the most in any way she can. Mary is a very empathetic character. She feels the vibe change and she changes with it. She shares emotions with her sisters as soon as they start feeling them. We see this a couple of times, especially here.
Winnie, do you want to hit me? Will that cheer you up? Okay. There you go.
This is the end.
No.
I feel it.
Okay.
We are doomed. I feel the icy breath of death upon my neck. Mary,
What?
take me to the window.
Yes, Winnie.
I wish to say goodbye.
Yes, Winnie.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Bye-bye, cruel world.
Goodbye to life.
Bye-bye, life.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Goodbye-bye.
Goodbye to all that.
All that.
Not only does this scene demonstrate how much she does to be the support team, but her own emotions have changed with the vibes surrounding Winifred. She's upset and she's crying because her sister is upset and crying. She could have been the voice of optimism here, but her deep empathy for Winifred placed her in that same mindset. I do the same thing when I see my brother crying. If he's crying, I'm doing my best not to start crying with him. I don't like seeing my baby brother cry. So, being the support team for him during those times often sees me welling up as well. I think this is also something a lot of us don't realize we relate to with Mary, because we don't really see these behaviors in ourselves until we're older. We understand our personalities more as we reach young adulthood and experience the world for ourselves. I do a lot of the same emotion shifting like Mary does with her sisters with my coworkers at my regular job. If I come into work and something feels weird, it's like, I smell a vibe, and then change my emotion to kind of fit the surrounding mood for the day. I'm very much like Mary in my day-to-day activities. That leads me to another point that I think we can all attest to relating with Mary with. Seeking approval and praise for our work, whether that is consciously or subconsciously. One thing I see Mary doing the most in Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2, that's still so fun to say, is seeking praise and approval from the person she's trying to impress, Winifred. She's always right there when a task needs to be done. She's happy to throw Sarah under the bus if it means she gets a compliment.
I noticed Sister Sarah isn't helping.
I lured the child here.
And when she finally gets that praise, it just lights her up like a freaking Christmas tree.
There's no such thing as chunks.
You're right.
Am I so?
And more often than not, when her hard work falls flat, or she's been told she hasn't done enough, she goes that much harder to impress Winifred, even at the risk of her own well-being. Yes, some would say she's a kiss-up, but we are all guilty of that in our lives at some point. When you do a favor for someone, or you work really, really hard on an assignment, or you put everything you have into your job, you're telling me that you don't care if or when someone gives you a compliment or thanks you. Go peddle your fish somewhere else. You are lying. I know I would be lying if I said I didn't care. I care so much, it's a problem sometimes, but that's why I'm going to therapy. If I work really hard on, let's say, a new cosplay project, and I finally get to show it off at a Comic-Con, but nobody says anything about it, I'm honestly kind of bummed out because I worked so hard to make it look good, and I kind of feel like if nobody says anything, it's like, oh, I guess I didn't work as hard as a lot of the other people that they're talking to, and maybe I should have done this more, or I should have done this more, I should put more into this, and I just kind of spiral. It goes really bad, and a kind word goes very far with me, and I can live off of that for a while. But why I thrive off of a good job compliment is because I beat myself up way more than I need to over mistakes, probably more than any human should really do. I've had people tell me I beat myself up way too much, but I physically cannot stop doing that. It's like how Mary just kind of takes the punches from Winifred when she does something less than perfect. The only difference is the punches I take are me punching myself. Mistakes make us human, and we all make them. However, that does not stop people like me, or Mary, from apologizing over and over for those mistakes and fixating on them until we get the course corrected. But again, this is stuff we don't exactly realize about ourselves until we are adults. And that's another point I really want to make. I didn't even script this part, but I want to make this a point. When you're a kid, like when you're a kid, you want to be Sarah because she's fun. She's the goofball. You just want to be as free-spirited as she is. When you get to teenage years, maybe your early 20s, you kind of like Winifred because everything annoys you. When you hit like adulthood, you go, yeah, kind of understanding Mary a little bit better. Yeah, I get it. Because she's the one that you kind of overlook until you're in her position. And then it's like, oh, wow. You're me. I understand you so well now. I get it. Like, she's everyone's spirit animal, whether they want to admit it or not. She's my spirit animal for sure. And on a more personal level, I relate to Mary in one of the, not so fun ways. My weight. That's one thing I think fans of this movie sometimes don't want to admit about themselves when it comes to dressing up like the sisters. And this is just from my own personal experience. I won't necessarily attest this to everyone, but almost nobody wants to be Mary, and nobody really wants to admit why. Plenty of people in my experience, don't want to dress up as the fat one. Yeah, I'm going there, and I plan on buying property. So just buckle up. You never hear anybody fighting over who gets to be Mary, do you? No, nope. But more people should, because there's no indication in the movies ever that she is the fat one. All three of the Sanderson sisters make jokes about eating kids, not just Mary. Sure, her shtick is to make a few jokes about food, but her powers are kind of related to canine abilities. You can't tell me you have ever met a dog that doesn't fixate on food, because they all do. Every single dog that I have ever met, if you have any form of snack, even if it's just an ice cube, they are at your feet going, me too? Not one time in Hocus Pocus did they ever make blatant fat jokes about Mary, and my God, I appreciate that so stinking much. I appreciate that so much. Because they didn't call attention to it. They didn't make it a thing. And that makes me feel good. That they were just letting her do the thing. They were just letting her be her. She was just a funny witch, and it was great. They didn't fixate on that one thing, which I'm so happy about. It really shed a good light on some body positivity, in my opinion, because they didn't make blatant jokes. Constantly, like they would normally do in movies featuring a character like her. And I'm so glad Hocus Pocus was above that humor. It's so good that they did not do that. But people judge her by her looks even when those jokes aren't made. I 100% feel that in my soul, especially as a woman. I'm a little bigger than I need to be. I'll admit it. But part of my issue isn't food and laziness, ladies and gentlemen. I have a hormonal imbalance that has to be kept in check by medicine that, surprise, adds weight on. Because that's a side effect to everything. I go to the gym, I do the weight machines, I swim, I go on mile walks, but none of that matters when you look like I do. People will still judge you for that and make snide remarks, etc., etc. Even doctors, when you have legitimate pain or, like me, some knee issues that make it painful to work out sometimes. Sometimes my knees hurt more than I wish they did, and I don't want to work out that day because it's just going to make it hurt worse. They just say, well, have you ever thought about losing weight? As if this is a cure-all answer. People will make those remarks. Except the people who love you. Your coven. Winifred and Sarah never make any remarks about Mary's weight. Never make a snide remark about it. They love her for who she is. They are so happy with her. They love her to death. She is their sister, and that is all that matters. My coven does that with me. You guys are awesome. It's the unsolicited advice people who know me, but don't necessarily know me, try to give me and offer exercise courses that I just don't want any part of. I do it my way. The people who actually love me, they don't care. Just like fans of Hocus Pocus who never really give Mary the time of day shouldn't care. She's amazing. End of story. Forget about it. She's the best. She's awesome. Mary Sanderson is all of us, whether we want to admit it or not. She goes through that daily grind, seeking approval for her hard work. She's the support team of her sisters and the unsung hero of the family in that regard. And she's the one who people just tend to forget about, but that doesn't stop her from doing her thing 24/7. She has such enthusiasm for the little things in life that we take for granted sometimes. That's possibly what I love about her and relate to the most. When she gets excited about discovering the TV for the first time, dancing to the music at the town hall party because she's never heard anything like this music before, her zest for interaction and kindness towards the other Sanderson sisters costume contest contestants. It's all so precious and real. That stuff is so small that we don't really take the time to recognize it, but she did. I relate to that because it's the small things that usually boost me up the most. Whether it's coming home to a new episode of my favorite shows, or cooking a meal I really like to make, a song I like just randomly starts playing on the radio, getting a new Pokemon plush for my collection. It's the little things in life that I love the most. Mary is who we should all strive to be more like in this aspect, because she is all of us. If she isn't all of us, she and I are at least the same person. Because, wow, I gave y'all an essay on that. Like, she's all of us. She's everyone's spirit animal. Because she's the most relatable in a lot of aspects. But she's also the forgotten one. Because she's not as flamboyant as the other two. But she's still amazing. So there you go. That's how I relate to Mary, and maybe how some of you relate to her too. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. It's free, it helps me, and what helps me helps you guys get more great content like this. On July 16th at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be going live with a Hocus Pocus trivia and treats watch-along here on the channel to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the movie. My eyes started reading the next sentence before I caught up with myself. Black Flame Gaming is not happening this Saturday, but it will be back next Saturday as I'm out of town this weekend visiting one of my best friends in the world. I can't wait to go see her. If you're a regular on this channel, please remember to drop a like and share how you relate to Mary Sanderson down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Casey Zogelman, aka the 4th Sanderson Sister, and I'll see you witches and wizards later.
I am